Okay, so we gotta remember our formula for binomial distribution of probability formula for binomial. N is how many trials we have. X is how many we're looking for in this case. P is a probability of success. Q is a probability of failure. So we're going to be using either Excel or decimals. I'm going to be using, in my case, let me use Excel. If you guys use Google Sheets, it's the same thing. Now, according to a poll, 60% of Americans adults preferred saving over spending. Okay, let me write a few things down here. I'm going to say P, my P is 0.6. Right, 0.60 is the same thing as 0.6. And then Q is going to be 0.4. How did I get my Q? I know 60% is the probability of success. How did I get 40% for failure? Yeah, it was 1 minus P, right? Q is 1 minus P. Okay. And let X equal the number of American adults out of a random sample of 50. Okay, so let me just say my N is 50. There's 50 adults here. Use your calculator to find the following probabilities. In my case, I'm going to use Excel. Okay, I'm going to use Excel. So find the probability that 25 adults in the sample preferred over spending. Okay, so what I have to do here, I have to find the probability of 25 adults, the probability of 25. Let me write this thing down before I look at Excel. Is 50 choose 25. Remember, that one's going to be like 50 factorial over 25 factorial, 25 factorial again at the bottom. And then I'm going to do 0.6 because the probability of success is 0.6 to the 25. And then 0.4 to the 25. Okay, my probability of success is 0.6, but I wanted to succeed 25 times. So that's 0.6 to the 25th. And I wanted to fail 25 times because it's a total of 50. I can use a calculator and type it in. It's just one probability, one simple probability. So I'm going to do this. Okay, let me go to here to decimals. I'm going to use decimals. Notice how on the website I just went decimals.com. I'm going to go here to graphing calculator. I'm going to use this to do the simple. So the first one I'm going to use is 50 choose 25. Remember that was our formula, 50 choose 25. So I'm going to go here on my keypad. I'm going to go on functions. Let me scroll all the way down. You see how it says NCR? Okay, so there were 50. Let me put a comma, 25, because it's 50, choose 25. And then cool, it gives me an answer right there. It's a really big number, 1.26 times 10 to the 14th. It gave it to me in scientific notation. I move 10 to the, move the decimal 14 places to the right. Ooh, that's a big probability. Okay. Another thing I wanted to calculate, let me go here. I wanted to calculate was 0.6 to the 20. Notice how I press AB. Okay, to the 25th. And then boom, I press entered. Okay. I also want to do 0.4 for my exponent. Let me press AB to the 25th. And boom, I press entered. Okay. Remember, first I wanted to do 50, choose 25. I wanted to do 0.6 to the 25th, 0.4 to the 25th, and then let me multiply them all out. What I'm going to do to multiply them all out, I'm going to press this. Okay, so here, let me go here. Okay, so see how I highlighted it? Let me go Control C for control copy, and then Control V for pasting. Um, then I'm gonna go times this, copy and paste, times this whole thing, copy and paste. You're like, okay, gave me an error. So why don't I just type all of it together? I guess I could have just done that. Let me go 50, choose 25, close my parentheses. I'm gonna go times 0.6 to the 25th. I'm gonna click to the right so I get out of it, times 0.4 to the 25th, because I wanted to 50 choose 25. I wanted to succeed 25 times. I wanted to fail 25 times. Boom, there is my probability. 0.040463603611. Let's say I was asked you to round it to, let's see, 6 decimal places. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you would tell me 0.040464. See how it was a little bit easier. We could have done it by hand, but it was going to take us a long time, right? So notice how I use probability, or how I use decimals to calculate this. Cool. Let me come back to our notes here. So we said this is going to be 0.040464. Cool. Now, what's the probability that at most 20 prefer savings? Okay, now this is a loaded question. This is, we have to do probability of 0 plus the probability of 1 plus the probability of 2 successes plus the probability of 3 plus all the way to get plus the probability of 20. So yes, we will have to do it 21 times if we do it by hand. The probability that at most 20 adults prefer savings, at most 20. So that means 20 or less. So we had to do probability of 0, probability of 1, probability of 2, probability of 3, all the way till we go do probability of 20. In this case, let me show you. We're going to do Excel in this case. Let me share Excel. Let me just open an Excel here. I'm going to say, okay, so we're choosing out of 50, right? I had to do probability of 1, probability of 2, probability 2, 3, 4. I'm going to say all the way till 20. Always, there's 50 adults, right? There's 50 people that I'm doing. Oh, as a matter of fact, let me do this instead. Let me go equals. When I in Excel or Sheets, when I press equals, I'm gonna tell the calculator or Excel to become a calculator. Out of the 50 people, let me subtract 0. And it goes 49, 48. Notice how here, how did I get those numbers? When I go here, I just click on this dot and it went down. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. let me do equals. First, I have to do choosing, right? In Excel, this is called combination. So let me just start typing in combin for combination. Let me open my parentheses and I'm gonna say 50, comma, and then let me highlight this E5. And then let me close this. And let me go down here. Let me do this. This is 50 choose 0, 50 choose 1, 50 choose 2, 50 choose 3, 50 choose 4. Cool, that's really nice. My probability of success, I'm gonna go 0.6 because it's a probability of success is 0.6 to the, oh, I forgot to do equals. Because when I do equals, that's when I tell it to become a calculator. 0.6, then I go shift to do my caret, and then let me go here. So this is 0.6 to the 0, 0.6 to the 1, to the 2, to the 3, to the 4. And then I'm going to do my failures. It's 0.4. Oh, I forgot. I have to go equals 0.4 to the here. And then I'm going to multiply this out. Remember, this here, I just have 0, 51, 49. This right here, my G, let me just call it NCR. Because 50 choose 1, 50 choose 2, 50 choose 3, 50, oh no, 50 choose 0, 50 choose 1, 50. Okay. Now here I'm going to have P. Let me just P to the X. I'm just going to label what I did here. And this is my Q to the X. N minus X, I mean. Now this highlights, let me do it yellow. You don't have to do it. It's just for me to show you what I'm doing here. This is my choosing. This is my percentage of probabilities. This is my percentage of failure. But I know I have to multiply those three out. So I'm going to go equals. I'm going to go this. Now for times, we use the star. Right there, that's by 8. So not I press shift and 8. I go this times this. Okay, now that I have it, let me highlight this whole thing. Remember, I'm going to grab it here at the corner and let me go down. Okay, I just need it up until my first number was 50. So right there. That's maybe like, what is Mr. Leonzo doing? Okay, 50 choose 0, 50 choose 1, 50 choose 2, 50 choose 3, all the way until I get 50. What is this, Mr. Leonzo? This is P of 0. This is P of 1. This number's up here. Let me even highlight it here for you. Let's do green for that. This right here, this is probability of 0. This is probability of 1, probability of 2, probability of 3, probability of 4. So, matter of fact, let me show you something else. We always have to verify something. I'm going to do equals sum. Sum means you're going to ask the calculator to add. I'm going to do here, and then let me highlight all my green. I'm going to add all of my probabilities. Remember, this is probability of 0, probability of 1, probability of 2, probability of 3. I'm going to add all my probabilities. And when I add all of my probabilities, it should equal to 1. I'm just verifying that it is all correct. Boom. Yeah, it does equal to 1. So we are all correct. So now, remember how our question It was find probability of 0, probability of 1, all the way to 20. Nice. Remember how earlier we had probability of 25. Look, it's right here. Remember how we got that on the previous one? It's pretty cool, huh? Okay. Now probability, because again, this is probability of 0, probability of 1, probability of 2, all the way down. So what I'm going to do for the up to 20, I'm gonna go equals sum, because I'm asking the calculator to add, open parentheses, and let me highlight from 0 to 20. Let me close parentheses, and there you go, 0.00336. I told it to add from P0 all the way to P20. Let me go back to our notes. So here, I can answer this one now. 0.00336. I can ask you run it to 2 decimal places, 3 decimal places, 4, whatever, right? But I ran it to, I left it right now as 5 decimal places. I didn't want to do this by hand. So that's why we're calling this using technology. So we're going to be using Excel. You can do decimals as well, but when you do decimals is when you're doing one simple probability. When you're adding a lot of probabilities, I recommend Excel instead. Let's take a look at here. The probability that more than 30 adults prefer savings. Okay, what does that mean? More than 30. So I want to know probability of 31 plus probability of 32 plus probability of 33 plus all the way to get probability of 50. Because remember, there's 50 people in our study. Doing this by hand, pretty insane. Doing this with Excel, let's take it out. Okay. So we have to do more than 30, right? So from 31 to 50. So I'm gonna go equals. I wanted to do sum. I'm gonna add from 31, right? So let me go from 31 all the way to 50. Look how the calculator does it, just in case you guys cannot do your mouse. This first space it does is called J36. You see how I label it? J36. It uses the colon to J55. I press equal. So it added all of them from 31 to 50. Not gonna do it by hand. I'm gonna do it using technology. So it tells me 0.446476. Oh, okay. So let me go back to my notes. What's the probability that more than 30 adults prefer savings? I'm gonna call this 0. My answer would be 0.446476. What's the probability that between 20 and 30 prefer savings? We usually, when we say in between, we use inclusive. Inclusive means you're including 20 and 30. So what does this mean, Mr. Leonzo? So I'm gonna do probability of 20 plus probability of 21 plus probability of 22 plus probability of 23 all the way till I get to probability of 30. Okay, for that one, definitely let me use Excel again. So I have to go from 20 to 30. So I'm gonna go equals. So it doesn't matter where you do the operation. I'm just gonna go here, open parentheses. So from 20 to 30. So I'm gonna highlight here from 20 to 30. And it gives me 0.55215. All right, let me go back to my notes. And I'm gonna answer this 0.55215. Let me come back to Excel. You might be like, okay, what if it's not 50, Mr. Leon? So what if, I don't know, there's 20? There's 20. There's not 50 on my formula here. Also, I have to do, my bad, I have to do 20 minus this. And they bring this thing down all the way to 0. So I have no fill here. Okay, cool. So there, I'm gonna do here. I'm not gonna, if you notice, it does, let me change this. 22, 0. Let me change my formulas here. Whether that's 20 choose 0, 20 choose 1, 20 choose 2, 20 choose 3, okay. But let's just say I'm doing something where the probability of success, what can we choose? Let's say the probability of success is 0.3. So I'm gonna go 0.3. And then I bring this up. I just want to emphasize that's 0.3 to the 1, 0.3 to the 2, 0.3, all the way to 0.3 to the 20. And then here, if the probability of success is 0.3, so I'm going to say the probability of failure is 0.7 here. And just to double check, let me add all my probabilities. It should equal to 1. Just to make sure everything is fine. Yeah, it is equal to 1, so we're good. Okay. Just for labeling, let me call this probability P of 0, P of 1, probability of 2, probability of 3, probability of 4, so on, so forth, right? Just for the labels, so we understand. But let me use cumulative. Okay, now what I'm gonna do here at the side, again, I'm gonna say that P in our case was 0.3, right? Let me write here 0.3, and obviously of failure is 0.7. I'm gonna I'm gonna do here at the side equals, I'm gonna say this one plus the previous one. Okay, what do I do that for? Because I want, okay, let's not get confused. Let me just go here. Boom. Remember cumulative. What did we do? Cumulative was equals this number plus everything that has happened before. And equals this number plus everything that has happened before, and so on and so forth. My last number should be 1%. Let me highlight this in orange. This is my cumulative. This is when there's 20 and my probability of success is 0.3. Now, I gave you guys a sheet with probabilities tables. Let me show you the sheet that I'm talking about. This one. I'm gonna show you. This is for cumulative. I'm gonna show you one thing here. My P and my N is 20, right? And my probability of success is 0.3 on what I just did right now. 0.3. So I want you to go to your chart and look at this right here. My N is 20. So I gave you when N is 10, N is 15, N is 20, N is 25. And then you follow here the P's and it's 0.3. So I want you to look at these numbers. Grab your paper, okay? Grab your paper. So I highlighted what I want you to see. Now let me come back to my Excel spreadsheet here. And let me close this bracket right here to only 3 decimal places. Or let's just have more decimal places. Let's go here. Now remember your sheet. Your sheet is rounded to 3 decimal places. Isn't this the first one? 0.0007? Isn't that 0.001? Now, isn't this the next number? It rounded to 3 decimal places. You see, can I get this to 3 decimal places if I make this smaller? It doesn't want to do. It gives me a problem with the first one, but the others are okay. 0.035, 0.107, 0.238, 0.416. Do you see? Do you see this chart right here? Is the table that I gave you. So I just gave you some of them for the here the cumulative frequency formula. Now you might be saying, why is this important, Mr. Leonzo? Let's just say I gave you guys a question. This is actually something you guys are gonna see in your homework. Let's say there's a teacher. Let's say there's a teacher, and then that gives you guys 25 questions, true or false questions. And then to see if you guys read an assigned novel, because this is an English teacher. Let's say he gives you 25 questions. Okay, let me to make this a little more official. There it is. 25 questions. And then, like again, there's 25 questions. So notice how I chose the one that says n equals 25. Now, the true or false question. So what's the probability of success? 0.5. Okay. So I want you to look at these numbers here. We can always do Excel, but I gave you guys this shortcut right here. So this is what I'm looking at. There's 25 questions, true or false. So the probability of success is 0.50. Now, this doctor, this professor wants to choose the passing grade such that probability of passing a student who guesses on every question is less than 0.3. This person doesn't want you to pass if you just guess. All right, so looking at here, there's 25 questions. Probability that you get 0 questions right, probability to get 0 or 1, probability that get 0 out 1 or 2. Now this 0.02, let me see what does this mean. What does this number actually mean? 0.022. That means that you're gonna get 7 or less questions right. 7 or less. Okay. I mean 7, 6, 5, 4, 7 or less. If you just guess. Now this person, this professor wants it to be less than 0.3. Less than 0.3. Okay, so now looking at our probabilities here, which one's the highest number that is less than 0.3? That's the highest number that is less than 0.3. Okay, what does this mean? You're gonna get 10 right. Okay, so what should she set the lowest passing grade? So she's like, okay, I want it to be less than 0.3. So I want you to get probably 10 right. So out of 25. So this professor is going to say, in order for you to pass my class, you must answer. I know you're going to get 10 there out of 25. So I'm going to set my lowest grade, my lowest possible way out of 15. So if I give you guys a 25 question quiz, true or false, but I want, if you just guess, I want you to have a less than 0.3 chances of passing. I'm going to say, in order for you to pass my class, you must answer 15 right. Now, percentage-wise, I know 15 right is 60%. So I'm just going to say, okay, so in order for you to pass, you have less than 0.3 chance of passing if you just guess. So I'm going to set it at 15. Now, what if the professor really wants to help you? Not really helping you, but really wants you to get a passing grade. And then this person says, let me just do 0.9. So high probability that you pass this test. What's the number the biggest number that is less than 0.9? This one right here. Okay, so he's like, I'm willing to let you lose 15 questions. So I'm gonna set this that you have to get 10 questions right. Because there's 25. Now, if I give you 20 questions, then don't use the chart that says n equals 25. Use the chart that says n equals 20. Okay, now let's see. I gave you let me erase this. I gave you 4 charts when n equals 10, n equals 15, n equals 20, and n equals 25. If you still struggle on how to read this, how to do your homework, make sure you contact me, okay?